Hello there, I'm Julie McDonald, and this week we are in Singapore, where I'll be talking with Accenture's Carl Ward, Chief Technology Officer for Health and Public Services. We'll be discussing and reflecting on the role of governments in an era of unprecedented technological advancement. It's obviously creating an opportunity for businesses to change their models, but it's also fundamentally disrupting our societies and our economies. Welcome to the Business Debate. Carl, it's fantastic to meet you. We are facing an era of unprecedented change in terms of data, artificial intelligence, intelligent technologies. And frankly, when you talk to people about this, there's a real palpable fear about what this era might mean for people. How do we help people to embrace, and businesses to embrace what's coming?
Well, I'm very positive about the impact of technology in general on how our society will evolve in the next 5 or 10 years. And I think it's important to embrace technology to really make sure we enable that change and improve people's lives. And there's really three things I'd say, particularly about artificial intelligence, that we can drive. One is that artificial intelligence really is quite limited. It can do certain things well, not other things, and as a consequence of that, we view artificial intelligence as being a combination of both people and the technology. Blending those things together will give us a much better outcome. So for example, I think when we have a doctor's appointment, we want the doctor to use AI to give me the diagnosis because it will give me a better answer, but I want the human touch from the doctor to help me through the disease I may have. The second thing I think is important is to look at the ethics of AI. AI intrinsically doesn't have any ethics, it will just do what it's told. So we need, again, the human element of this to apply a level of both governance and legislation and control over the AI to make sure it's doing things in the right way. And thirdly, I think the role of government in this overall is that governments really do have an obligation to make sure that they continue to protect people through society as society is disrupted and their jobs are disrupted. So there's a great opportunity for both balancing the opportunity to take on these technologies with the obligations of supporting people through the change they will see.
Governments are not renowned for being innovative, quick thinkers, and then they're also going to have to wrangle with this huge burden of ethical responsibility. What do you think their role might look like?
Well, I think they've got to develop a kind of two-speed approach to some of these changes. I really do believe that the safety of our society and economy is protected by governments going slow in certain areas. I don't want fast change in the way that society works, but I do want fast change in the way we adapt to technologies and the way we might want to protect people and make sure things are safe. If I'm introducing a new technology, I want to make sure it's safe before I allow it out into the community. And government, I think, struggles a little bit with trying to balance those two speeds. And I can see the structure of government evolving to separate some of those needs away from each other so it can both run at slow speeds for those things that really require a lot of attention and detail, and sometimes making fast decisions around things that are there for safety and protection.
How important is it, Carl, that governments shift their focus slightly away from buying pieces of infrastructure and looking at a digital architecture instead?
I think this investment we've had in digital to date, to be fair, has been focused primarily on wires and cables. And the real innovation is going to come from when we think about the digital investments, the standards that let us communicate, the ways in which we can connect, for example, the health system, where doctors and insurance companies and hospitals and even caretakers and your family need to be connected in a way that will help people through their diseases. We haven't yet evolved that to the level that's helping us. And that's something I think government can and should sponsor, because it's really the only organisation that is able to really govern and control all of those entities together.
Is one of their roles also going to be to educate people and to repurpose the education system so that we focus on flexibility, softer skills, so that people aren't afraid of being replaced by a machine?
The reality is people's jobs will change, and even education now is getting to the point of trying to understand how to educate children to adapt to change more through their lives. And recognising change will occur, then again government can take on this role of how do I protect people and walk them through this change that's going to happen in their life, rather than expect that people will only have a single path through their life. It's really important to make sure people can adapt and are protected through that adaptation by whatever mechanisms that government can introduce to make sure they're not destitute, and make sure they're given the opportunity to retrain and reskill themselves into new areas, and potentially into areas that they're more passionate about. I think as you age, your passions change, and people will want to move into different jobs if it matches what they're interested in.
What are the big barriers to progress right now for governments and public service, and what are the solutions right now?
So I think governments need to think about the fact they just need to be agile. So I can't predict what's going to happen in 10 years' time from now, but what I can predict is the change will be continuous and dramatic. So as a consequence of that, the biggest skill set that we believe is important in both people and organisations and governments is that ability to respond to change. The second thing I think it's important is to kind of start to put your toe in the water and look at these technologies, to try them out, to put them in at small scale, and really understand how they may have an impact on society. Without that knowledge, they will struggle to really understand how these things are going to change.
What are you excited about, Carl? About, let's say, not in the next 10 years, I think that's crystal ball territory, but in the next 5 years, what are you excited to see happen? I'm
passionate about using technology to help people live and work and play. It's been working in government for the last 20 years or so as a consultant, and all of the time it's always, for me, it's all about how do I improve government and society. So my passion would be just continuing on that journey of understanding how governments can adopt technology and really help societies to grow. It's been fascinating to meet you, Carl. Thank you. Thank you very much.